Alright, I'm going to do this again. I made a video about some of this stuff, my irrigation system, but didn't get much attention. Didn't have any subscribers, and doing some different stuff, and I'll go over that in this video. An irrigation system for a yard my size. I mean, my yard's not huge. I mean, it's 31,000 square feet of turf. It's all irrigated. So, but I do run a well, and for you folks, if you're thinking about doing an irrigation system and you're on a well and your well can handle it, don't even waste your money on a regular well system. This is a constant pressure system. This is what you really need to run an irrigation system on a well. Like I have this set at 70 psi. When this thing comes on, the pressure will drop 55 to 60, and then from then on out until the irrigation's done, which for me is around 6 hours right now, 6.5 hours, just depending. The pressure doesn't change from 68. It goes from 68 to 70 the whole time. Never drops below that. So with a regular well system, you've got a pressure switch, and normally your pressure switch is like 40 and 60 or 40 and 70. So if you was to run irrigation, you know, it's not going to take long for the pressure to go down to 40, and then the well pump's going to cut on and build up to 70, and then it's going to be just super quick. It's going to go back down to 40, and the pressure switch is going to cut on and go back up to, you know, the set pressure. So that's not an ideal solution. That will burn your pump up in a hurry, because it's going to be cutting on and off the whole time. With this, it never cuts off when it's running. So this is the way to go for a well. There is something called a cycle stop valve that you can put on a regular well system also, but you know, these used to be a whole lot higher, these systems, than a regular well system. They've come down in price. But anyway, so this is a 3 horsepower system. My well is 215 feet deep, and when it was drilled in, I think it was 1968, it produced 75 gallons a minute. But what it is now, I have no clue. I don't know if it's still that. It's still damn good, I will say that. Very lucky, very fortunate to have it. This is actually, you know, this is all my grandparents' old place. This well fed 100,000 chickens and 4 residential houses at one time. So it's a good well. I hope nothing ever happens. If it does, I'll be out of the grass business, I guess. This is the fertigation system. And yes, I'm in my pump house, as you can tell, and it's really old, like everything else around here. If you can get one of these, I highly recommend it. It's very accurate. You use that dial to set it. It's just a formula, and you can apply fertilizer, whatever you want to. So that's a good piece right there, and that is made by Turf Feeding Systems. And the way that goes is it wires into your irrigation controller. When your irrigation cuts on, the pump cuts on. When the irrigation cuts off, the pump cuts off. And and excuse the mess, I've spilt some stuff here. So it just plumbs into the main line, and it injects it into the main line. Also, with a constant pressure system, you don't have to have a big old tank. It's a 7-gallon tank. That's it. When this used to be a regular well system before I changed the pump and stuff, big old tank. So that's another advantage. If you're tight on space, you can run a little pump or a little tank with a constant pressure system. This is my well watch. I don't know if you can see that or not, but the static water level is 48 feet. And when I run my irrigation, the water level will go down to 112, 113 feet. So the static water level, that means that's what the water level is below the ground in the well. That's as high as it goes, and like I mentioned, when you start using the well for irrigation, you know, the water level goes down until it reaches the point to where, I guess, the water is actually pouring into the well from underground. It's the pumping. So my pump is sitting at 194 feet. So that tells you something right there. This only goes down to 113 feet from a 48-foot static level. And my irrigation runs 6.5 hours, and most of my zones is 25 gallons a minute. So like I mentioned, very blessed to have a well like this. Well, let's go out here and I'll show you what I got going on here. That right there is actually my well. My well is a drilled well, but it's a buried well. Most of your wells now have casing sticking up out of the ground. There's no casing out of the ground. I'll open this up, hopefully. This is actually the well watch. My well is right there. So this just screws into the top of the well cap, and it measures the depth of the water, ultrasonic sound waves. And I just keep this cover on it to protect it from the water and stuff. So that is the solar panel for the well watch. That's what runs that. So here, I'm going to explain what I'm doing here. This is the irrigation controller. I showed you in another video. I am doing away with that. I'll show you this KBG also. I did reseed these spots, so hopefully it's not going to wash away this time, the seed. No rain for, it looks like a couple weeks. So, but back to this. Excuse the mess here, but so this is what we got going on here. I'm going to change my irrigation box, and basically what the deal is this flow meter. This is a flow meter. It won't work with the new controller, so I'm just gonna re-pop all of this. So what I'm gonna do is, there's a valve in this box that turns the well off. I'm just gonna cut the pipe and re-pop the whole thing. Now this new irrigation controller that I'm putting in, I mean, this is some serious stuff right here. So that's a master valve that has to come on before the water gets to the zones. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a Y fit in here, and I'm going to put another master valve in. And the reason why I'm doing that is, with this new controller, I can run my fertigation on an area like, let me try to explain this better. If I want to run fertigation on a certain area, I can program the other master valve I'm putting in to that area, and the fertigation will come on. And then when that area is done watering and it goes to another station or zone, it'll use that master valve and it won't run the fertigation. I am also hooked to city water if needed. I should have been more prepared with this, but all I have to do to switch to city water is turn that valve off that's in that box right there and come over here and turn this backflow preventer on, and I can switch to city water. So if something ever happens to my well, which I'm praying it doesn't, that is an option there. Switch to city water. Shit would have cost about $400 a month probably. So when I put that Y in here and the other valve, I'll just have to have a Y fit in here, and it'll, you know, another line will be right there where the valve's at. Putting the new flow sensor in, like I mentioned, this one won't work. This controller I'm going to is it's actually called a flow sensor, so that's a flow meter. It's just a T fitting with a sensor in it. And when I get all this installed, I'll go over this with you guys. So yeah, I mean, this is basically repiping that little pipe. That's the one for the zone. This is the main line, so I'm just repiping the main line, and it goes into here right there. So I'll just unscrew that and buy a union and put that end on it, and we'll just reline or repipe that area right there. So my main line is 1.5 inch pipe, and that's the same size from the city also, and my lateral to the zones is 1 inch. I wish, if I had done over, I wish I'd have done 1.5 inches there also, because my limitation is the inch pipe. I don't have, you know, obviously I do have a limitation on water, but I could easily pump 40 gallons a minute through a 1.5 inch main line, and I could easily run multiple zones, where right now, you know, I could run 2 zones on some of them, but if I had a bigger lateral line, I could run the big zones. But I didn't do that. So my limitation's the pipe size going to the zones, not the main line size. And the reason why that's the limitation is, you know, you can't flow but so much water through a certain size pipe, and once you hit that spot to where it's too much water, you start losing a lot of PSI and pressure, which is, it's called friction loss. And then that's when you well pump and everything starts really working hard. And mine, I mean, it works hard for the zones that I got. There's no doubt about it. My pump's a 25 gallon per minute pump, so if I did have bigger line, I'd have to up the pump size also. But it is what it is. So this new box is going to allow me to run 2 zones at a time, and I can do that with certain zones. I have 13 zones. Once I install this, I'll be able to run a few areas 2 at a time, so I'll be down to 10 zones, and it's going to cut my irrigation, it's going to cut an hour off of it. So that's, you know, that's the main reason why I'm doing this, besides me not being able to get into that box if I don't have internet. The new box, I'll be able to get into it without internet, but So my irrigation system is 87 heads. As I mentioned, it's 13 zones, and when I do this, it's going to be down to 10 zones because I can run 3 zones together. But for most of you folks, 90% of you that's got irrigation systems, your own city, and I would assume most city stuff you're capable of maybe 15-20 gallons a minute. That's about it, and that's plenty for a smaller yard. You have no issues with that. This off of this city, this will do out of that hydrant, it's 38 gallons a minute, so, and about 130 psi. So the city supplies actually more than the well currently with the pump size in the well, but still the limiting factor is the 1-inch lateral lines. So I mean, I'm very fortunate to have the water, well or city, that I have. But it's a different animal when you get into a big yard versus a smaller yard. There's no doubt about it. There's a lot of thought process and what needs to happen, and then it's even more when you're on a well. It's just a lot of figuring, and I didn't install this system. I had a company do it. It's a great company, but originally they wanted me to do 3.0 nozzles and the ones that do 360s, and 2.0s in the ones that does 180, and I'm the one that chose to bump it up. I use 4.0 and 2.0 just so I can put down more water faster and get done. So it's nothing for them. I'm the one that's maxing out the system with the lateral size. It's not them. If I'd have told them to do 1.5 inches, I'm sure they would have, but it wasn't figured for that. But bigger pipe is better. Bigger is better in this situation. Flows more water, and you lose less pressure with bigger pipe. So, and I have all my heads are Rainbird 5000 plus. They're all stainless steel. I do have one zone with Rainbird R bands. It's the twirly looking things, smaller zone. So when I get this installed, I'll start this video back up. All right, so we got all this installed. So this is the Hunter HCC2 controller. This is what I went with. It's a big controller, not cheap, I'll just be honest with you. But the features this thing offers, for me with a bigger property, in my opinion, is worth it. I mean, it's going to cut my irrigation down over an hour. So obviously this controller can go to 54 zones with modules. It can run 3 flow sensors, 3 master valves, and it's got another module where you could do a total of 6 flow sensors, but I mean, I don't need that. So it is Wi-Fi compatible with the module. That's the wire. That is the antenna. So this is what, and I've got a mess. I've always got a mess when I'm doing a video, so I apologize, but it just is what it is. When you're digging dirt and ditches and all that good stuff, I mean, it gets messy. So this is what I've done here. As I mentioned before, that is where I can turn on the city water, the backflow preventer, but I've repiped all this. So these are the 2 new master valves, and all this is 1.5 inches. So this is master valve 1, this is master valve 2, and 1 will be set up for all the main programs that I run, and then 2 I can set it up for just using the fertigation if I want to run fertigation on a certain area. And this is the flow sensor. It's just a T-fitting. It's a special T-fitting, and then the sensor goes in it, and it is a wireless flow sensor. So the transmitter's on top of the valve box, and this is the, I guess, the antenna for it that picks up the flow numbers. So that controller is pretty complicated. I will say that. It will off of an app, or not off of an app. It doesn't have an app like a regular smart controller. It's actually internet based. I'm trying to show you here. So this is the website for it. It's not an app, it's a website. I can run all my programs off of this. I can use it as remote control if needed to start, a certain zone or whatever. And this can be operated manually with no internet. So I mean, if I want to do it manual, you can see right here, manual programs. So I could run all the programs manually if I want to, without the internet on. But yeah, I think that's for me. I mean, it's pretty extreme, but for me, it's gonna allow me to end my irrigation a lot sooner, or at least over an hour sooner, versus the way I was having to do it. But this is what come out of it. That's the old flow meter. You see how big it is, the old master valve. So I just thought I'd show you this. By no means am I expecting you guys to purchase anything like this. If you do, if you've got the water, that's the controller for you. I will say that, because I mean, you can run, if you got enough water, you can run 14 zones at one time with that controller. So let me show you this right here. The best thing about this, see that right there? I can be sitting in my house, program 10, there you go. Turn it on with the walkie-talkie. You can actually get this for other Hunter controllers too. Turn it on with a walkie-talkie. Any station I want, any program I want, can run it any amount of times I want to. That's just a good deal. So I can operate this controller through a website, through doing it manually on a controller or this right here. All the controller needs is power to operate it with this or manually on the controller. So if I want to stop it early, done deal. So that is the KBG. So I reseeded all these spots. I guess it's been almost 2 weeks, and we're good finally, I believe. We got new grass coming up all in these spots. Finally has not washed away, so I'm pretty excited to get rid of these bare spots. It's all in here. Is it going to be filled in by the end of this season? Is very doubtful. This season is turned quite cool quickly. So we've had 3 frosts this week. It's been down. One day it got down to 33, and the next was 35, and this morning it was 37. So a little real light frost this morning, but you know, it ain't gonna hurt nothing. It's gonna warm back up next week. So anyway, I just thought I'd show you guys this and a little bit about my irrigation system there and what it takes to do it with a big yard. So I appreciate you guys watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next video.